Hi, hello everyone. So today I've come with a new video relating to the forms of business, various forms of business. Even though in class I've already discussed, but today I'm giving you this PPT. I hope you'll understand. And as you all are aware, due to COVID-19, we are not able to give you classroom teachings. So I've come up with one of the videos relating to forms of business. So I'll make it try to make it short and brief. So before understanding forms of business, you need to understand, say for example, simple guy has his own dreams or aims in life. Say he want to get a job where he gets a salary, and another guy, he is kind of motivated to become self-employed, and other guy wants to become an investor, or the other student in the class want to start his or her own business. So when he or she is thinking about starting his own business, one need to understand that there are various forms of business, there are different types of business, and there is a slight difference between self-employed and business. As you are aware, becoming a self-employed does not necessarily mean starting a business, but starting a business, it has more paperwork, it has more legal work which is related with it, and business normally relates with the concept and various business modules. So I will not go into it. In short, there are various forms of business or types of business which a person can think of, and there are various forms of business like sole proprietorship. This is one of the most simplest, and if you see in and around, there are people lots of doing sole proprietor type of business. If you go to a restaurant, and if you go to a grocery shop, they all are, most of them, almost all of them are a sole proprietorship type of or form of business. And you see in and around partnership form also, where two partners have come together to do a business. Nowadays, I have seen many people in and around in hills area also, like Sikkim and in Darjeeling. People have formed limited liability partnership also, because it has got an edge over the sole proprietor type of business or partnership type of business. Because forming a joint stock company or a private company directly is not kind of feasible also, and one need to have an experience about starting or doing various forms of various types of business initially. So everybody are aware about the cooperative societies. This is also one form of business, and another is company form of organization, which is quite similar to the private company or public company, but there's slight differences which I'll be discussing in the coming days. And now there is a concept of one person company also. One man can also start a company. All these things I'll be discussing in the coming videos, but today I'll be focusing only on the 2 points, that is, what is sole proprietorship type of business, what is partnership, what is the main difference between the sole proprietorship type of business and partnership type of business, and what are the documents required to start such type of business, what are the pros and cons, and why a person need to be very cautious in selecting forms of business. Normally people only think about the business concept or only think about the business idea, but yeah, selecting the type of business, forms of business is also very much important. And all relating to this I'll be discussing in the coming videos, but today the main objective is only discussing the sole proprietor type of business and partnership form. So let us come to the next slide. Sole proprietor. Let us see the various features of the silent features of the sole proprietor type of business. Yeah, single ownership. Sole proprietorship type of business is a business where there is a single ownership, a single man or woman owns the business. So obviously when one person is owning the business, there will be a control, one man control over it, and the risk is also undivided. Means it is quite risky, because if the business does not do good, and business make loss, then there is a huge, it will be a huge risk for the proprietor. Since there is an absence of government regulations also, this type of business is very much easier to start. So normally most of the people initially who have got little idea about various forms of business, and they have some idea to trade in any of the in any of their ideas, they go with this sole proprietorship type of business because of the feasibility. As I've discussed, there are various advantages and disadvantages. So let us first check the advantages of such form of business. It's very simple to form, and when it comes to decision, proprietor can easily take decision with the whatever strategy he or she has to take in relation to the business. And direct motivation means, if the proprietor are very much hardworking, and they're very much serious about the business, then that will directly affect the profitability of the business also, or in other words the performance of the business also improves. And that is why the hard work of the proprietor and the performance of business has a direct correlation or direct relation. And personal touch, yeah, uh, there are kind of person who is very much creative, and he or she wants to have control over the business, and that kind of person want to give their own personal touch on the business also. So for them, this form of business is more appropriate, and it's flexible also. So today they will start a business, and after a few years or months, or even after a few days, if they feel that they are kind of bored doing the type of business, they can always wind up, and there is no kind of obligations, so it's much more flexible. So yeah, these are the main advantages of the sole proprietorship type of business. Let us see the disadvantages also. Obviously fund, limited fund. So in order to start a business, one needs capital, and in order to run a business, one needs capital. So capital is required. Capital means money to start a business. And but since the proprietor does not have, may not have the sufficient fund, so fund may be a constraint for the business. So this is one of the major disadvantages. Another is limited skills. Since the sole proprietor himself is starting the business, he might not have the required skill sets to run the business smoothly. Another is unlimited liability. This is the major disadvantages, as I've already discussed. If the business is not able to earn much profit, or business in loss, then the liabilities might be increasing manifold, and that will directly affect the creditability of the proprietor also. And uncertain life, yeah, normally since this type of business are run solely by the proprietor, sometimes it might happen that if the family members of the proprietor will not carry forward the business, or if something happens to the proprietor or the owner of the business, there's a high chance that the business will also shut down. So that is why these are the advantage and disadvantage of sole proprietorship type of business. So one need to think very seriously about whether to what form of business he or she will select to start a business. And these are the silent features, advantages, disadvantages, which I have discussed for the sole proprietor type of business. Now let us move on to the next slide, which is I'll just explain with an example. We all know that every one of us has a desire to grow. We have wants, and even if we want to do a job, there is a desire that for a desire for a promotion, or better salary. And yeah, everyone desires for that. So in business also it's no different. One may think that, okay, I will start a business, and since starting a sole proprietor type of business is very simple, he or she might register for sole proprietorship form of business. But over a period of time, say this guy, okay, who is a sole proprietor, want to expand his business. He's thinking, I want to expand my business. So how can he expand the business? Because expanding the business solely, or expanding the business following the model of sole proprietorship is not possible, because I've already discussed there are many disadvantages of the fund constraints or the resources required, and technical skills required, managerial skills required. So there are many constraints. So if this poor guy wants to expand, and he has two options: either he has to employ a manager to look after his business, and for the growth of the business he has to hire MBAs or MCOM guy or engineers, CA, anyway, anyone he can hire who thinks who can grow his business. But the main problem is that that manager will not bring a fund, but that will be an additional expenditure, because this poor guy will have to pay salary also to the manager. And what if there won't be a good profitability, and there may be constant of say more competition in the market. So he can take a partner also in order to expand the business. So in short, I would like to tell that sole proprietor type of business is good if one wants to control the business, or one wants to give a personal touch, be more creative and have control over it. But it has a limitation. This form of business cannot grow to a wider extent. So if sole proprietors, they want to grow their business, they need to either employ a manager, take help of the manager, because from a certain point when the business grows, a certain set of skills are required, or this kind sole proprietor can take a partner. So in the next slides I will be discussing about the advantages and disadvantages of taking a manager, or taking a help of a partner. Now let us say these points. These are the advantages. By hiring a manager, obviously there will be a reduction in the administrative work and work division, special advice, complete control. These are the points which I have highlighted. But you can see that by taking a manager, the sole proprietor can still have control over the business, and he can still have the secrecy. So some sole proprietors, they want to keep the secret business model, or some chef who have started a business, opened a restaurant, want to keep the the recipe more kind of, he does not want to share it with anyone. So by hiring a manager, he or she can always keep that secrets, and not profit sharing. So by hiring a manager, that sole proprietor will have to pay salary, but not, he does not have to share the profit, and it is easy to wind up. Still it is easy to wind up. Now let us see the disadvantages. As I have told that hiring a manager is not very easy, because one has to have a right skill to choose right person in the right time, which is the quality of a good HRs, human resource managers. And getting a right person will be a problem in itself. And after that, yeah, after hiring the manager also, if that manager will not work up to the mark what was expected, and since the manager has no financial obligations, he or she might not work hard or work smartly. So there will be a problem of capital, and increase in expenditures. And the worst scenario, that manager might learn the skills, or might learn how to do the business, and may leave your business and start another business to create a competition. So these are the disadvantages of hiring a manager, and there are both merits and demerits also. So one need to think about whether to go for a sole proprietorship, or whether to go for a partnership type of business. But right now let us move on to the next slide. Now let us focus on taking a partner. What are the advantages of taking partner? So one major advantage is, when partner are kind of invited in a business, partner will bring more capital, and with capital, that partner will bring managerial skills also, and will be more responsible as compared to manager. He will be having more knowledge, and he'll share his more experiences, and will increase the goodwill also. So there will be a direct relationship between the kind of hard work and the reward also. because that partner won't be an employee but will be a owner of the business, equally as you are, or equally as the sole proprietor was earlier. And the benefit of specialization also, since partner will come up with some experiences and special knowledge, obviously some kind of secrecy can be ensured, as the partner will also become an owner. So partner will also think that I'm the owner of this business, so I need to keep this secret formulas or business models in order to be more competitive in the market. So there will be economy of cost also. Why? Because both the partners will be sharing losses also, and obviously liability also. But these are the advantages. There are certain disadvantages also, like earlier what was happening was sole proprietor was having the control over the business. Now after the partner comes, that control will get diluted. With the dilution of the control, there will be a division of authority also. And if the nature of the person is, if he does not want to share the control over the business or the authority, then taking a partner may be chaos. And yeah, the partner may be dishonest, and that might be some of the tactics or tricks of the partner. So there might be disputes or differences. And as a owner, a sole proprietor, want to invest that profit, but the partner does not want. And one individual, one partner will have more capital invested, and that partner will have more risk in it. But the other partner might have invested lesser capital and more efforts, he or she might. There will be so many kind of differences between the partners. So there will be a lack of stability also. So there are both pros and cons, taking a partner or starting a sole proprietor type of business. But it all depends on what the individual wants. If the individual wants more capital, or if the individual is more into the advantage side of the admission of a partner, then he can go for partner. But if an individual is more into the disadvantages side of the partner, he can always hire a manager. But one need to understand that there is a disadvantages of hiring a manager also. So doing a business does not mean just having a concept and buying or selling goods, services, or any commodities. It's about, the first step is having an idea, but after that, what forms of business to go for, whether to go for a sole proprietorship type of business or a partnership type of business. And let us move on to one of the slides. Let us see actually why the, the sole proprietor type of business is not complete in itself. I'll read this para for you, which I've taken from the Economic Discussions Forum. Sorry. The sole proprietorship or one man control is best in the world if that man is big enough to manage everything, but such a person does not exist. So if one man is big enough to control everything, have a control over everything, sole proprietor type of business is best. But such person does not exist, because one man cannot have every skill and that much amount of money. Even we know that huge conglomerates, they take debt because they also face the constraints of capital. So what about the individuals? So these are the main disadvantages of sole proprietor. So if the person is more contented and just want to do a business, survive, be happy, then sole proprietorship type of business is good. But if you wants to do something extra, if you want to move on to other places, then yeah, obviously one need to think about taking a partner or other forms of business, which I'll explain in the coming videos. So what actually is partnership form? So partnership form is defined by the Companies Act 1932 section 4. So what it says is that, what is written is, the relation, partnership form is a relation between persons who have agreed to share the profit of a business carried on by all or any one of them acting for all. I'll give an example. Going for a partnership form is like going for a marriage agreement. When two individuals get married, obviously there is a contract between the two husband and wife for a better life. and when there is a breach of contract, then there are certain penalties, or obviously it's the same, you can relate it with the partnership form also. So two partners come in a good consent and to share the profits. So whenever forming a partnership form, there are certain documentations required also, so that needs to be taken care of, which I'll be discussing in the coming slides. And see, these are the characteristics of partnership. At least two or more persons should be there, but a maximum 10 in the case of banking business and 20 in non-banking businesses. These are the maximum, because in partnership form there's a limitation, because once the number of partners increases or goes on to another level, then the nature of the business will also change. And contractual relations, written or oral agreement. So the agreements can be either written or in an oral form, but it's better to have a written form of contract, because who knows what will happen in the future, and whatever problems might occur in the future, everything needs to be written already in advance in the contract, so that in future there won't be any problem, or even if there is a problem, then there are lesser problem. So existence of lawful business, setting of profits and losses. Obviously, partnership, as it's already defined by the Partnership Act 1932 also, that it's about setting the profits and losses. Obviously, setting of profit and losses is not possible without the mutual consent of the partners. And still, the characteristic of partnerships on unlimited liability. Unlimited liability means, still if the company make losses, then the level of liability which might increase might be unlimited, means it's risky. Yeah. So risky means, if there is huge loss and the business not able to pay the debt, then it might happen, so that the partners might have to liquidate their fixed asset, even to repay the debt also. This is the concept of unlimited liability. So these are the, these are also has become one of the major disadvantages of going for this form of business. So restriction of transfer of interest. Obviously, when there's a partner, one cannot do whatever he or she wants. One partner has to take consent of the another partner, and good faith. A relation cannot sustain without good faith. So partnership is all about a relationship between different partners for setting the profit or running the business. So formation of partnership. So this is a formation of partnership. There has to be an agreement, or two or more partners, and there has to be partnership deed, and there should be the mutual consent of the partners also, and there should not be any coercive force. So yeah, if you want to make a deed, obviously you need to go for a, you need to visit the legal advisors. They will do all the paperwork, and yeah, we need to take legal help also in this matter. So what actually is partnership deeds? So these are all the kind of information which are given in the deeds, and like name of the firm should be given, and addresses of the partners, nature of the firm's business, what types of business the partners are into, like whether it's relating to the manufacturing business or the trading business or the service business, date of agreement, when the agreement has been taken place, and the firm's business address, like whether it is in metropolitan city or in a village area, or where the business is going on, or the amount of capital contributed by each partner, and accordingly the distribution of the profit according to the capital invested by each partners, amount of withdrawal, how much money each individual or each partner can withdraw, duties, powers, obligations of all the partners, and how the accounts will be maintained. Everything need to be explained nicely and precisely in this deed. If even if one important points are left out, that might create another problem in the future. And these are the continuation of the partnership deed. Like as I've told you that admitting new partner will increase the goodwill also. So how goodwill can be calculated, I've created one video relating to the goodwill. You can watch that video also if you want to understand the concept of the goodwill. And what will happen if a partner wants to retire? Everybody wants to retire in life, so maybe some partner in future wants to retire, and what will happen to the firm? What if there is an uncertain death of a partner? What will happen to the business? And so on. So everything need to be discussed properly among the partners, and a deed needs to be prepared so that in future there won't be any problem within the partners also. Let us move on to next slide, registration of firm. So the partnership form needs to be registered. It is not kind of compulsory, but yeah, registering a firm is always uh, desirable because it will get more benefits, and partners will feel kind of more not safe but okay, because we have registered the firm and there is a deed also. Peace of mind, yeah, in short, partners will feel peace of mind. And when there is peace of mind, obviously partners can think about business strategies and making profit, and that paper will speak in the future if some kind of differences will arise within the partners. And yeah, for procedure of registration, one need to fill a form, and which will be each partners will sign in that form. Without a signature, that uh, contract will not be valid, and it should be sent to the register of forms. So these are the process which the legal advisor is going to help you out. This is also important, but most important thing is I've already discussed. One need to understand which type of business forms or forms of business one need to select. One need to first understand oneself whether he wants control of the business, or whether he want to expand the business. So according to the nature of the particular individual, one can go for the forms of business, and if he will do so, he can be successful in the business. Or yeah, there are many ways also which I would not like to discuss in this video, because time is also a constraint. And these are the statement which should be properly maintained and written in the dates, which I've already explained. You can just go through the points, and this is the repetition of the earlier slide. And what are the merits of partnership? I've already discussed this also. Ease of formation. Forming a partnership is also very easy, but getting a right partner is not easy. That is the major problem. Legal work is also not that much cumbersome, but finding a right partner is a problem. And larger financial resources, obviously, if one can find a right partner, that right partner will bring larger financial resources, specialization also, and which will help in the easy functioning of the business operations. Obviously, due to which, even if one individual is not able to run a business and he has a sole proprietorship type of business, so if he brings the right partner, that right partner can save the business also by keeping the secret business module. If sole proprietor is wanting to maintain that secrecy, that is also possible. So let us move on to the demerits of partnership. There are demerits also, which we have already discussed, like unlimited liability. If something happens to the business, and if one of the partner does something wrong and the business does not do good, does not make good profit, the partners will have to pay the debt if they have taken the debt or loan from the bank. If they're not able to pay the loan, then yeah, in worst scenarios, the partners might have to sell the fixed assets also, which is not good. So this point is one of the most important disadvantages of or demerits of the partnership, due to which most people nowadays, most businessmen nowadays, go for LLP, limited liability partnership also, which I'll be discussing in the coming video. And limited resources. Even the partners might not have all the unlimited resources. There will always be a limited resources, and risk of implied agency, because there will always be an agency problem and lack of harmony. People, they have their own psychology, they have their own backgrounds, they have their own thoughts, so there will be differences in so many aspects. So if one cannot respect the differences of the other partner, then that will be blunder in the business, especially in the partnership form of business, and which will obviously affect the continuity in the business also. And public distrust, if you see, people does not easily trust the partnership firm, even if you think about yourself. So if two-person comes and asks you to give them money because they have a partnership firm, will you kind of accept the offer? Not easily. But if a company comes, company CEO comes, like Reliance or Tata, public limited company comes and tell you that they have a bond and they just pitch the idea to you. So if you have money, if anyone has money, they will think about it, because they know that these are the public limited companies, or they have a good reputation, which is uh, which the partnership does not have, because this is kind of public may not easily trust partnership firms. So these are the measured demerits of partnerships. So I hope you have understood the basics of the sole proprietorship type of business and partnership forms or types of business. So I just discussed the basic points. In the coming video, I will be discussing about LLP company, both the private and public limited company, how to form, what are the advantages, disadvantages, and in which scenario one can opt for what forms of business. So I would again like to repeat it. Doing business is not that easy, because one need to think very cautiously. Doing a business is not only about buying a product and selling it to a customer, but it's about understanding oneself also. Just having an idea will not make the entrepreneur or the businessman successful, but understanding own capacity, own psychology, what forms of business to go for, whether to go for a sole proprietor or whether to go for a partnership form of business. So there are both the merits and demerits. So I'm highlighting demerits of partnership once again, because one what I think is that in order to be successful, one need to focus on the demerits and try to improve on it. And for a partnership also has the demerits, and I will be discussing the other forms of business in the coming videos. Till then, be safe and wash your hands. See you soon in the coming video.